My name is Puteri Ameena. Throughout this presentation, I will mix up the language, I guess both Malay and English. And if there are any questions, just put it in the comment section and we'll try our best to answer it. So today, I will be talking about food insecurity and what should we do about it. So the content of this presentation will be on three main things. First, what is going on right now, then what is happening, and how can we help. So I'll begin with this picture of 1 million people praying. Basically, this is a gathering in South Africa, a Christian gathering where they're doing a praying. And I put this picture here for us to imagine how, or have kind of like a visualization, how 1 million people looks like. And as you can see in the picture, we can and the one scattered also. And the picture even is not full, it's cut here. So there's probably more. So now this is 1 million, right? Imagine multiply by 193. So 193 million. What is this figure about? This is what that number 193 million is about. In 2021, which is just last year, 193 million people in 53 countries are in a crisis or worse levels of food insecurity. This is just 40 million people from 2020, and this is not 50 years ago. This is in the 21st century, and there are nearly 200 million people who do not have food, who are at the brink of having their minimum basic needs, food needs. They don't have clean food, they don't have clean water, and they are essential life sets. And their coping strategies are very emergency-like. They don't have sanitation conditions are poor, and they have a large number of malnutrition in those areas. In these 53 countries mainly. So this is globally. The report by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. You can read up more on it. Just Google report on food crisis 2021. So this is happening globally right now in Malaysia. Let's start with one of the recent food issue that we have, which is harga ayam naik, and now it's probably like 9 ringgit per kilo. And this is worrying because as the economic condition in Malaysia worsens and all the food prices increase, people are going to have a hard time to live, and people are just actual food insecurity situation. Other than the price of food increasing, we also have this issue cartel daging. This shows how vulnerable our food chain is in Malaysia, adding on to the now people can import food without strict regulations. And these issues are not new. These issues have been predicted by people such as Encik Mohidin here, the Consumers Association of Penang, where he said that in May 25, he said that their warnings have been ignored. He also mentioned that Malaysia is not like other food producing countries like Thailand and Vietnam. We import a lot of food, and in this pandemic, these food producing countries will focus on their citizens, on their needs. So they won't be exporting as much. So being a country like Malaysia with no self-sustainable food production, we will have a problem. And by Dr. Rais, Malaysia is entering a serious food security conundrum. Conundrum is kind of a jargon, so let me shed a light on it. It means that it is a problem that is difficult to deal with. So food security is not an easy problem, and but it's not a problem we should delay, or when we delay, it's just going to get worse and worse, and there could be no turning back. So now we have a gist of what is going on globally and in Malaysia. Let's see what the Food and Agriculture Organization said the root causes of these food insecurity issues could be. First is conflict, the internal and external conflict of a country. It could be war, like the Ukraine and Russia. It could be political conflict, like in Malaysia. Second, environmental and climate crisis. The weather extremes, the sudden increase of, it's not sudden, but the gradual increase of global temperature is a problem, especially for plants and animals to live. They are not like us human beings. We have clothes, we have medication to help to adapt to these worldwide, and that is due to health. So these crises kind of come hand in hand. And finally, the fifth one, poverty. Poverty has been a long-standing root cause of many societal health, economic problems across the globe from many, many years ago. So as you can see, these 5 causes, are connected and affects one another. So it starts with poverty, where there is no, for example, there is no clean water. Then there's going to be a health crisis. People start getting sick. Then economic is going to be affected. Climate is going to be affected. The environment for food, because we're not empowering them. We're not helping them. We're not incentivizing them to produce better yield, to motivate them to plant more so that we can have more food, at least sufficient food for the whole nation. The third is institutional and structural change. Some points that were coined across the internet is to have a change in the financial distribution systems, meaning ensuring that the farmers themselves get the money that they were supposed to get and not being cheated by anyone in the supply chain. Fourth, providing more efficient and sustainable ways for humanitarian assistance. This is like an indirect thing that we should, especially software developers or software companies should look into, because humanitarian assistance is not just during a crisis. For example, we have homeless people around that goes to soup kitchens and eat food that are served. They don't have a choice, right? So imagine, for example, restaurants or hotels that their food is going to it's not going to expire. It's just that their SOP is that they have to throw away the food at the end of the day and cannot bring it forward to the next day. So instead of throwing it away, having a good system that can connect these big restaurants or hotels to soup kitchens, for example, and that connection can help. Maybe, for example, this Concord A is reaching end of day 5 p.m. and they have a lot of cakes that are not yet eaten and they cannot bring it to the next day. So instead of throwing it, they can put up notifications or posts on that system. And these soup kitchens can just pick it up and say, hey, I want 2 kilos of cakes. We're opening our soup kitchen today. We can give it to the homeless people. So that link would be very helpful to also manage the waste. And finally, number 5, well, last but not least, embracing new technologies. This is what I will probably focus more on today, which is the integration of these 3 main technologies. Internet of Things, or IoT, which consists of sensors, RFIDs. Next is artificial intelligence, or AI. And third, blockchain. So the 3 pictures here, the first one is the pain in the eyes, the food waste. The second is a farmer in Malaysia. And the third is an example of a way to embrace technology in supply chain, which is through the existence of this QR code here. As you can see, there are not many things that is on the label. They don't really need to because they have a QR code. And anyone who scans it can get the whole information. And for example, for this fruit salad, you can get not just the names of the fruits or the contents of the fruit box, but you can probably get the whole supply chain history. What is this about? Let me bring you to the next slide. So this is kind of overwhelming, but let's start from the middle. So the whole integration of these 3 technologies starts with digital transformation. So in order to embrace these technologies, we will need a framework or a method to ensure that we have control, or at least we have knowledge about the end-to-end of the supply chain, so that if anything goes wrong in the middle, at the end, or even the beginning of the process, we know and we can act promptly instead of waiting for this person to tell this person to tell this person to tell the other person that something is wrong. So here it starts with digital transformation. What is digital transformation? An example, a simplest example is, for example, we used to have surveys on paper. You need to go to the stores and give people pens and papers for them to fill in, and when you bring it back, you need to type it in one by one. But now we have Google Forms that transformed the manual process of a survey to digital. So this digital transformation is needed especially in agriculture, because we need to ensure that we know what is going on with our food source. And that is actually the beginning of the food supply chain. So when we have the sensors or the IoTs on the ground, collecting data about the plants or the soil, the humidity of the air, we will able to have a digital of the plant. In this picture here, it shows a simple example of just a parcel. So the parcel is a physical parcel, but you know it's information digitally. So like the plant, we can have a digital twin of the plant in the dashboard. So we might not look at one single plant. Imagine a big paddy field. You can't look at one by one. So maybe we can group it into this area, or this acres is area A, area B, area C, and the farmers can have a dashboard. They can sit in the evening, instead of being in the hot sun, they can sit at home and just look at their dashboard, which sensors is alarming, and track what's going on. So that's the first one, having a digital twin. You can have it as nearby as a phone, so the farmers can actually do something else and have the phone nearby. There's probably an alert system. Yeah, you can modify anything there. And the second one is monitoring the machine's conditions. So let's use, okay, actually at the end here, they talk about tomatoes. So it's actually the same point. So the parcel here is, for example, a box of tomatoes from the farm. And in the lorry that is used to ship the tomatoes from the farm to the factory to the retail store, there are IoT devices to detect the components of the lorry, or even the temperature inside the van lorry itself. So, for example, if the machine or the lorry battery is about to run out, then it will alarm the system, and the system will know, okay, this particular lorry needs help, call for help, or tell the lorry driver to stop at the side before the lorry dies. And or prompt action can be taken in real time. You don't have to wait till the lorry crash causes accidents. We don't want that to happen. And with the temperature in the lorry, for example, the thermostat detected that the lorry is too hot. So the tomatoes that arrive at the factory will not be fresh. And knowing that information before the tomatoes reach the factory, the ones receiving the tomatoes can know, okay, this particular van with this plate number, the tomatoes have to go to the jam producing line. So, and the jam producing line is at a different factory. It's not this factory. So the van can be informed and move directly, instead of having to stop at the factory and being told, oh, you cannot be here. You need to go to another factory because your tomatoes are too hot on the way here. So those are examples of the flow of things that we can do with IoT. That's just IoT. So let's go into AI. So AI can be in the detection system. AI can be in the digital twin, meaning they analyze the patterns, what's going on. And AI can also be the predictor. So, for example, we integrate the weather forecast into the system, and we know that the lorry is going to pass that area that is going to be extremely hot. So AI can predict, okay, by the time you reach there, the temperature is going to be too hot, so better not go there. Go to a different route. So those are just a few examples. And the AI can also be used here, which I have not mentioned yet, in the analysis of partners, suppliers. So when we want to run a supply chain, we will have a lot of actors, a lot of vendors involved. And these vendors and actors need to be well selected fairly to ensure a just system and open tender, really open tender concept. Having a system with AI analyzing the possibility that they can be a good vendor, things like that can be used to analyze, to have a more trustworthy and to have more confidence in the supply chain, and also remove those cartel issues. And third, blockchain. Blockchain can be used first in the digital twin of physical items because blockchain has that immutability feature where it can store data and it cannot be changed after it is in the blockchain. Next, it can be also used in the analysis of partners and suppliers. Extension of that could be the transaction that is done between the vendors. Transaction is not just monetary transactions, but it could also be data transactions. For example, the tomato has reached this checkpoint and is going to go to checkpoint B from checkpoint A. That transaction can also be recorded in the blockchain, and no one can change it once it's in. So these are just few examples of having the integration of all these three. And I would like to repeat that the core of this technology embracement is the digital transformation. If we don't have the data digitally, we will not be able to use AI and blockchain. And in Malaysia, we need to work on the IoT part, which is very crucial for the data collection. I'm going to go to the next slide. So here is just a simple framework, I would say, that we can use or follow in order to embrace the technology and ensure that we have a thoroughly thought through system to have end-to-end knowledge about our food chain. It starts with the data collection, as I've said before, with an IoT. And then data management. Once the data is collected, it's going to be in raw data. So data management needs to be very well prepared, making sure that it's clean, organized, and available for people to access, which comes to the third point, open data. Open data is kind of scarce in Malaysia now, and having open data can help not just the agriculture industry, but it can also help other industries to learn about the agriculture industry and help, for example, build solutions, because data is the 21st century goal. You can get a lot of information from mere raw data. And when the data is accessible, it's open, anyone can do data analytics and predictions on it. And taking it a step forward, AI can be used for automation and detection throughout any parts of the supply chain. Adding more value would be having blockchain for tracing and transparency. And I've added this impact assessment module or point because I think having all these solutions at hand without analyzing an impact will not ensure the sustainability of this solution. Oh, I missed one point. Here at Twistcode, we have Pass.my, where we developed a solution for the blockchain part here in the middle of the whole process. We also have AI, but all we need right now is IoT, and we need IoT. So going back to impact assessment, just like any other softwares, we need to test, improvise, update, because there's never one solution that's perfect. And especially for localization, for example, if we use it in Selangor, it might not, for example, we use these solutions in Selangor, the results won't be the same as, or the results or impact or effect will not be the same as in Kedah, for example, or in Penang, because the different soil or the different weather, so and also the different companies and supply chain. So there has to be a widespread adoption of these solutions in order for us to actually know Can it work? If it does, how can we do better? If it doesn't work, why doesn't it work? What did we went wrong? Did we go too technical? Do we need to make it more farmer friendly? So the impact assessment is a very critical part. And after we've done the impact assessment, we can conduct knowledge transfer and probably policy making and avoid creating dumb policies. So knowledge transfer can be done either from the solution providers themselves or the cooperations, where they can bring technology to the farmers instead of having the farmers scouring for it with their own money. And with technology, it can truly empower and give more insights to the farmers. And I've connected the last part, to data collection because, like I said before, after we've done all these, we will get feedback because these solutions, in the end, it's not for the plants, it's not for the technology, it's not for blockchain, it's not for AI, it's for the people. So people will always have feedback. There will always be room of improvements. And that's where it will loop. We will get feedback and we will start again until it gets better and better. So, to conclude, food security is, we always hear food security, but I've chosen food insecurity because I want to talk about what's going on. Where some people, like if we use the word insecurity, we often see it as I'm insecure about my face, I'm insecure about my body weight. So I have no guarantee that they have food on their plate the next day or the next hour or this evening or tonight. So just because we don't feel it doesn't mean there are people who doesn't. And as statistics have shown, there are with these solutions, these matters that we can help, being the privileged ones that have food on our table. I hope we all work together towards building anyone in need, basically. So that's all from me and from Twistcode on this topic. Thank you.